tells us to grind harder, set bigger goals, and upgrade every part of our lives through the personal development. But here's the paradox. Like, why are so many men who master all the hacks, read all the books, and level up their careers still feeling deeply alone, restless, and even purposeless? Yeah. And, dear listeners, welcome back to another powerful episode of Mind Over Masculinity. I'm your host, Avik, and today we are diving into a theme that hits close to home for so many men, like whether we admit it or not. And to unpack this, I'm joined by someone who knows this tension firsthand. So please welcome my guest, Mario Lanzarotti. So, welcome to the show.
Avik, thank you so much for having me. I love your focus, your content. I think you're doing great work for men out there.
Amazing. That's really great to hear from you. And dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Mario. So, Mario is the founder of Aligned Founders, a global movement helping male entrepreneurs scale their businesses without losing themselves in the process. So he has coached over 2,000 men worldwide, delivered a TEDx talk with nearly 3 million views, and built a coaching practice rooted in trust, brotherhood, and alignment rather than, you can say, endless hustle. So, dear listeners, I'll not take much of your time. Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Mario.
Beautiful. I'm excited.
Amazing. Great. So Mario, I mean, the trap of self improvement, right? So why do you think that the personal development is a tool meant to help us often leaves men lonelier and more disconnected from themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So
Mhm.
I would start up by saying that personal development offers great benefits. You can truly find a way out of a very low, difficult place. And it teaches you great skills. It teaches you skills such as how to think properly, how to communicate properly, how to be disciplined, how to take care of yourself, how to build structure and plan and create clarity. So, from that place, personal development can be fantastic. The
Yeah.
problem start is, Avik, is when you, and I'd love to ask you, when you got into the world of personal development, why did you get into it in the first place?
Hmm. Because I feel like personal development is something which is more attached with our I would say, uh, personally realize that chasing improvement and finding peace. So, yeah,
So am I right to assume that you decided to go onto the personal development track because you wanted to improve some part of your life?
definitely.
Right. And that's what the typical man wants, right?
Yes.
They're not satisfied with their lives. Maybe it's their body. They lack the energy. They don't like how they look. Maybe they're super stressed out, right? Maybe they want to make more money, and then they listen to someone on social media. Maybe they grab a book and they get onto this
Mm,
journey and they learn about these hacks. You know, breath work, meditation, and they're fantastic tools. I love them, right?
mm,
The the reason why I ask you this question is because for pretty much every man, the journey starts
yeah.
from a place of dissatisfaction. They're not
Okay.
satisfied with their life. They want to improve their life. And underneath that often is a conversation around who I am is not good enough. I need to improve myself. I need
Mm,
to fix myself. There's something wrong with me because if it wasn't, then I would be able to, create a better life for myself.
mm,
And so that leads to an initial seeking stage where you're looking for answers to fix the problems that you're experiencing in your career, in your relationships, in your health. And initially you may find answers to that, but like every other man, like you yourself, like including myself, that path is not sustainable. And the reason being is because it's all built on the idea that you are lacking something, that somehow you are broken and you're inherently wrong. And you need to now go onto this journey to fix yourself. And
Exactly.
that can be a lifelong path. And you will never run out of problems and to fix, and never run out of reasons to tell yourself that you need to get better.
Mm.
And unfortunately, that becomes a race to the bottom.
Got it. Got it. Understood. So, like, uh, if I may ask, like what I mentioned also, like why I also did, like, because I definitely wanted to grow myself personally in few of the areas, and also looking for some better, or maybe finding peace also. So, uh, I mean, what I'm hearing is that the self improvement can become a mask. I mean, a way of running from pain instead of healing it. So it really resonates with so many men, like who quietly feel like they are kind of never enough, even when they are winning. So, am I correct? I mean, if you want to add something.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. This is like you said, it's often a cover up. Like self-mastery is often a cover up
Mm,
feeling a deep sense of pain on internally that you're trying to fix, that you're trying to stuff. It's like the typical
mm,
I don't feel good enough, now I have to become great. So then finally I'll feel good enough, and then you become great, or you achieve some version that you worked really hard towards, and all of a sudden you realize, huh, I still don't feel different.
mm,
And that can be a very defeating experience because you've worked really, really hard. You've invested a lot of time, energy, money, and all of a sudden you realize that actually it's not getting better permanently.
mm,
And so then you need more, right? You need another course, another coaching, coach that you hire, another business that you build, another
mm,
record that you crack, and still nothing sticks. And that peace that you talk about, you won't find it.
mm. Exactly. Understood. And also, like, you have built and exited businesses, hit the big goals, but found yourself anxious and burnout as well. So, how common is this story among the high achieving men? What do you have to say?
I would say it's extremely common. Like I would actually say that I am yet to meet a man that is not driven by a sense of inadequacy, by a sense of not feeling good enough, that drives the man to these extreme levels of performance, whether it's build a business, whether it's
Mm,
accelerate in a career or in sports, or it's all this extreme sense of achievement, this
mm,
obsessive sense of like I gotta become the best that I can be. I'm yet to meet someone, a man, that's not driven by a deeper sense of pain.
mm. Got it. Mhm. So, what are some of the warning signs that a man might be successful on paper but quietly unraveling inside? What do you say?
I would say that the first sign is look at your nervous system. So,
Okay.
this sense of always feeling like on the edge, you cannot rest. You find yourself often rushing,
Mm,
often being reactive in the way you think, in the way you make decisions. It's
mm,
very difficult for you to switch off at the end of the day. Um, you need a lot of stimulants, a lot of caffeine, maybe a lot of nicotine. You find yourself needing a lot of suppressions as well. So, like porn is a big one, alcohol, so that you're switching off by using external measures, right? Smoking weed. These are all things
mm,
that help you take off the edge, because if you don't use those things, you get really, really nervous and anxious. And those, I would say, are some of the common signs, and some of the heavier signs are burnout, Like there's a sense of like you can't get out of bed in the morning anymore, and you're sort of sort of just like aiming to get to the weekend, and the weekend gives you a sense of relief. And then comes Saturday evening, all of a sudden the dread starts climbing, and you're like, oh my God, tomorrow morning, Monday kicks back in. There's a sense of feeling distant and disconnected from your relationships. You might have a lot of great people around you, but somehow you're not there mentally. You're checked out. You're constantly thinking about the next thing that you got to do, your to-do list. And
Right.
yeah, I would say those are big signs.
Mm. Exactly. Understood. So, like, uh, I'll first say definitely it's a important reminder, and
Mhm.
men need to know that it's okay to pause before life forces them to. So that is much important.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
100%.
I yeah, and if I talk about men, like I mean, we often avoid leaning on kind of brotherhood because of the
Mhm.
pride, shame, or maybe the belief that real men go it alone, kind of thing. So, why do you think that so many men isolate when they need connection most?
That's a great question. I would say there's a huge social stigma that
Okay.
when a man asks for help, somehow he's viewed as less than.
Mm.
And as men, we try to be the sole provider, the sole achiever, so that we feel a sense of usefulness. We feel like, look, I was able to do this, and I was able to provide. And for a man to talk about his vulnerabilities is socially a lot less acceptable than it is for women. And there's a fine balance there, because you don't want to be the guy who just buckles everything on top of his own shoulders, but you also don't want to be the victim. You also don't want to be the guy that just cries and runs to mommy and is constantly emotional and doesn't get his life figured out. And so
Yeah.
when as a man, you tend to be viewed in these extremes. And women, on the other hand, for women, it's a lot easier to connect with their emotions, because women are by nature more connected to their own bodies because of their hormones, because of their menstrual cycles, because of the matter of fact that they give birth through their bodies. And so men were biologically less connected to our bodies, and so we have to make more of an effort to actually do that. But that takes time, and that takes patience, and that is uncomfortable for a lot of men, and that can seem like it takes away from your ability to provide and
Right.
and protect. So you're in this battle of like, hey,
Mm.
if I slow down, everything's going to fall apart, and then I will be useless. And
Mm.
for a man to feel useless is one of the worst things that a man can feel, which is why so many men choose self-harm, and to the extreme level of that, choose suicide, because they don't feel that
Mm.
they have any use to society.
Exactly true. Mhm. And so, in your coaching work, how have you seen men transform when they finally let themselves be supported by
Mhm.
other men?
So that's a great question. Initially,
Mhm.
there's a great resistance, because it takes a lot of courage to open up and to even admit that you have problems, that you have mental health problems, that you have fears and doubts. Just to admit that takes a lot of courage, even though it just confirms one thing, and that's that you're a human being, not that you're
Yeah.
useless. But once men do that, once they start opening up, they start to see the mental prison that they've locked inside in, without even knowing it. And I think it's beautiful to see that,
Mm.
because that's when men realize that they're both
Uh,
the prison guard and the warden. They are the one that that have been holding the key the whole time. And that leads to a sense of liberation. I compare it to, you've been swimming underwater a long time and you've been just like gasping for air. And finally you break through the surface and you go, ah, you can take a deep breath. And so the first things that happen is the stress goes, the constant pressure goes away. And when the stress and the pressure goes away, these men finally get to see things clearly. They see that actually it's not that they're a failure, it's actually that they've put themselves into a position where they're doomed to fail. I'll give you an example. I just had a coaching call this morning with a man from India, agency owner, and so he says to me, "Hey, I want to scale my business. I want to double it, and essentially, I have everything ready, but I'm not doing the task that I need to scale. I'm not booking more sales meetings." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't feel that my business, I don't feel like I have a great case study that would justify that I can take on more clients." And so he explained to me that his business is about helping business owners save time when it comes to recording content, like up to 10 hours per week. And I said, "Great. And are you doing that?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm saving a lot of time to my customers, but so far none of these clients have really grown their personal brand because of the work that I do." And I said, "But I'm not sure what you mean, because you help them save time, not grow their personal brand." And so what I helped him understand is that he was trying to prove himself. He was chasing a big case study. Look, I helped Avik grow his personal brand from 0 to 1 million followers. And because he wasn't able to do that, he labeled himself as not good enough. And so he was then escaping into procrastination, into distractions, into weed and alcohol. And I said, "Look, you set yourself up for a game that you have to lose. But if you actually shift to the game that you're already winning, you can stack even more wins." And that just blew his mind. He was like, "Oh my goodness, like I've been winning all along, but I've been feeling like a loser this whole time." And so this is when men start to see that this is a self-created prison that they're inside, and they can move out of it once they gain the clarity. And to me, not beyond just business growth, the most beautiful part to me is the healing that takes place inside of them, where they actually find a sense of peace and liberation, but then they take it to their families, to their wives, to their girlfriends, to their parents, and they start having these healing conversations where they admit, "Look, I've been trying to gain your approval for so much time, and I've been thinking that you don't really love me, and I've been distancing myself from you for because of that and trying to hustle for your approval. And in all these years, I've been disconnected from you." And then they start to have these conversations, and all of a sudden, you see families start healing. And to me, that is the most beautiful part in all the work that I get to do.
True. And I I I definitely love to say that, because what you are describing is not just a weakness, it's a strength through vulnerability. And
Yeah.
brotherhood, I would say, I mean, is not about what to say, like, it's not about kind of setting or fixing each other, but it's all about not carrying the weight alone. So which
Mm,
I really love the most. Yes, yes, exactly.
yeah.
And when we talk about this, so the role of faith and trust is also very, very important. So like I see, like you often speak about the alignment, trust, and even the faith as well. So for the man who has built his whole identity on the control and achievement, how does he begin to trust something beyond himself?
That's a great question. I would say
Uh-huh.
it starts by realizing that your way isn't working. If you understand that you are the one that keeps bringing yourself into this mess again and again and again and again, you're going to have to come to a place where you will be humbled, where you realize that, look, I have been telling myself for a long time that I'm in control and that I know the right way and that my choices are the best choices, and that is your downfall. And that happens methodically again and again and again. And a lot of men keep fighting against that because they don't want to admit that they actually don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. We are really great at pretending because it gives us the illusion of being in control, but we were never in control. And so that's the point when you realize, look, my way isn't working. It's time for me to surrender, to give in into a greater intelligence. I call it God. Some people call it source. Some people call it prana. Some people call it the force or energy. It doesn't matter. Like it's that mystical creation, that force that has this brought life into existence. And
Mm,
for me, God plays a huge role in my life. I pray every day, I meditate every day, I speak to God all the time. And look, when the moment I started doing that, my life increm- ex- e- ex- e- extremely improved in just every sense of the way. My relationship with my wife, my health, my business, my just overall well-being,
mm,
because there's true freedom in actually saying, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay.
true.
I have trust. And this is not this like naive sense of trust, like, oh, whatever, sure, I'll just sit here and do nothing. And, I'm just going to work itself out. No,
Mm,
you're taking action. You're taking probably more action than you would without faith in God. But
mm,
your actions are now conscious and they're aligned. They're strategic. They're very effective. It's not this random thing that happens because someone on the internet said you should do this. No, it's like coming from a deeper place inside of you where you find what's truly aligned for you. What's Avik's path?
mm,
Not as what is Avik's path because Mario told Avik that's the path. No, what's inherently your path that God told you. And when you live that way, you will be blessed with the greatest rewards and the greatest challenges at the same time.
correct. Exactly. What a lovely side, I would say. Yeah. And um, so, what does it look like practically? I mean, uh, in the boardroom, in the home, within a man's inner life. How do you see?
In what regard specifically when you say what does it look like practically?
In terms of the faith and trust, or you
Mm,
can directly say the trust. Yeah.
yeah. So step one is
Mm,
you have to get quiet and slow down. There's a principle in the Bible that says, "Be still and know that I am God." And what that means is be still literally means be still, be slow, slow down, take deep breaths and increase your exhale. And know that I am God essentially means, know that God is within you, that you can stay here, you can sit and you can wait. And you literally ask a question. You say, God, what should I do here in my business? What should I do in the situation in my career? What should I do in the situation with my wife, with my father, with my mother? And then what you do is you stay quiet and you listen. And you listen. You don't think, you listen. And something will come up. I did this yesterday with one of my other clients, and
mm,
he asked a question about his path forward, and all of a sudden, he asked the questions like, "How do I overcome this fear?" And then all of a sudden, this parable was shown to him in his mind, the story of the Monkey King and the rich god, sorry, the rich man,
mm,
and
mm,
and he shared the story with me. And I asked him, "What does it mean?" And he said, "Well, it essentially means that you have to surrender to God and let go of your material possessions and your attachments." And I said, "Okay, where are you doing that?" And then he told me, yeah, I'm doing it all the time. I'm so obsessed with like, but I got to make more money. I got to make more money. And that
mm,
gets me into this stress state. So once you listen, you will be shown something. And then you have to ask yourself, what does that actually mean? And from there, you can derive action steps. And then once you have the action steps, you go and you actually take those actions. So I would say it's slow down, it's ask for guidance, it's listen to the guidance, is then translate the guidance into an action step, take the action, and then repeat the process.
definitely. Wow. So, I mean, it's definitely, I'd say, it's a big shift, like moving from the life to trusting that you are held.
Yeah,
So, like, I believe so many men, that's both the hardest and the most liberating step. So, definitely,
it is.
definitely. Great. And so for the men who is listening right now, if there's a man listening who feels stuck, lonely, or burned out, maybe even ashamed of feeling this way, that despite his achievements, what's the very first step they can take today to towards the purpose?
Mm. I would say the very first step is to ask yourself,
Mm.
what is it costing me to
Uh,
live this way? What's the cost of it? And I like to bring this analogy. Essentially, this
mm,
is about self-doubt because, you might be listening right now and then you go, okay, I definitely, this is for me. I should start applying this and really start making a change in the way that I practice this. And then all of a sudden you're met with a sense of self-doubt. What if this doesn't work? What if I'm wasting my time? What if people laugh at me? What if I lose money? All of that. Now,
mm,
that's the voice of doubt. And to let go of doubt is the same way in which you let go of a cup. Now,
mm.
if you, Avik, if you hold a cup in your hand and
Yeah.
there's cold water in the cup, how long can you hold on to the cup?
Uh, until and unless, I mean, I feel much colder, or I feel like
That's
something
just
changed.
regular water, right? Like let's just
Yeah.
say it's just like regular water, and then like
Mm,
just cool, but not like crazy cold.
mm.
How long would you think you could hold onto the cup? Long time, short time?
Um, I mean, until and unless I have nothing, but yeah, I can hold for a certain period. Yeah,
So quite a long time, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but if I was to now change the water and put boiling hot water in, how long could you
Very
hold on
short
to the cup?
period. Very short period.
Okay.
Until yeah.
Exactly.
Mm,
Right? And the
mm,
same is true for self-doubt. If you
mm,
once you realize how much the doubt is costing you, how
mm,
much it's burning you, you're going to let go of it because self-doubt is a story in your mind that
mm.
you're entertaining. And the problem is not that it's there. The problem is that you entertain it. The
Yes.
problem is you hear the voice and you go, "Oh yeah. All right, true. Okay, I better not do that." And then you don't take action. And so
Yeah.
once you get clear on how much doubt is costing you, then and only then will you actually begin to implement some of the things that I shared you today in the podcast.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow. And lovely example, I'd say definitely. Yeah. Uh, and so how can that person, that man, begin that journey without feeling like he has to figure all out at once?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, look for some
Mm,
like minded men or men that you aspire to be like. So men like us, right?
mm,
I have a community, an online community that I run. You may have a community. Some other men may have communities. Maybe there's an in-person community. Go and surround yourself with other men because iron sharpens iron. You need accountability in your life where men hold you to the fire in a loving way, where they say, "Hey, it's okay that you're afraid. It's okay that you don't know. We're here together. We're going to help you figure this out. Because once you realize that you're not alone with this, then the solution becomes a lot more practical and a lot easier. And then the pain that and the suffering that you have to face, the darkness that you have to face becomes bearable. And so I would say that's the second step. And the third step is you do what I said earlier. You go into a prayer process. You go and you talk to God, source, life, universe, and you say, show me the way out of this. Show me give me a solution to this. And then you patiently wait. And something will be given to you, something will be shown to you, and you will feel inherently, you'll feel a pull towards it. And it won't be like a screaming sensation, it will be a gentle pull. Because think about it this way, God doesn't have a need to scream at you. God has
Right.
infinite patience. God knows, however much time you need, I'm here for you.
Mm.
Anything that's not God will always scream loudly and, and like almost like bully you.
Mm.
And you don't want to confuse that with the voice of God.
Mm. True. Very true. Yep. Lovely. Great. So, and any other advice you'd like to share with the listeners?
I would say
Uh-huh.
if you're in a difficult place,
Uh-huh.
one of the best ways to get out of it is to be of service to other people. The more you are of service to the world, the less you're going to obsess about your problems. And people that are living in service to humanity
Mm.
tend to have a lot better time getting over their own limitations because ultimately all suffering is you obsessing about you. And so get into service. That should be that should be a consistent practice of yours.
Mm.
Ideally, it should be a way of life. If you can do that, I think you're up for some very beautiful surprises.
Exactly. Exactly true. Great. And I mean, what a conversation, Mario. I mean, this is such a grounding and raw conversation. And I would say you have reminded us that the path to true masculinity is not uh, paved by the endless self improvement or the external wins, but definitely by the courage to face our pain, trust ourselves, and also work with others. So, definitely. And for the listeners, I'd love to say, like, if you have ever felt like you are doing everything right, but still feel alone, take heart in this that your pain doesn't disqualify you. It can actually be the very doorway to your purpose. So I'll leave all of you with this challenge that this week, don't hide your struggle. Share it with a brother that you trust, and just see, like, you'll be surprised how much lighter the journey feels when it's not just yours to carry, right? And uh so, Mario, if someone wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium to connect?
Thank you, Avik. That was a great reminder, by the way. And
Mm.
if someone wants to reach out, this conversation resonated, and maybe you want to share what part of this conversation resonated with you, I'm on all the social media platforms. The one that I'm most active on is LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Mario Lanzarotti, and you can also find me on YouTube, on Instagram, even on X. But again, I'm not as active there. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn, and I look forward to hearing from anyone that listened to this conversation.
Lovely. That's amazing. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links and the details into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this hope, this is Mind Over Masculinity. I'm your host, Avik, and I'll see you soon in the next episode. And until then, stay real, stay present, and keep building a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. So, thank you so much.